Hey, so I think here we are. And so, welcome everybody. So glad to have you. This is Coach Jennifer and Coach Nancy. And we are excited to be here with all of you tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an important discussion, an important topic, Nancy, to really talk about tonight. And that's it's for everyone in phase one, but we do want to make sure to include everyone and invite you to really share um, on the comments with us tonight. So if you're just starting, you want to make sure to be taking down some notes because there's going to be a lot of information that you're going to want to remember. And if you've been doing phase one, maybe for a couple weeks, couple months, or even in phase two, we want you to share your experience, your insights um, with HMR and just getting started in phase one. So tonight, we are going to start by following up on some of the specific areas that you all decided to push on last week that you mentioned in our accountability spotlight. And then we're going to get into our topic of how to maximize your weight loss in phase one, which we're going to have ourselves be organized by going through several questions. And so, Nancy, do we have folks joining us?
We certainly do.
Yeah? Any?
So we've got Kate on, we've got Sue, we've got Kendall's here, Jennifer's here,
Right.
Helen's here, Suzanne, Sherry, Bob, Dana, Patty, Katie. This is great. We've got a lot of people coming on. Daria,
A lot of people. So make sure
Sharon,
we.
a lot of our regulars,
Great.
as well as new names.
New
Iris,
names.
Nancy. So lots of good, a lot of people coming on.
Great. So, welcome. And also, it would be nice, I think, Nancy, interesting to see kind of what week people are on, or if they're
Mm,
haven't started, that may be something nice to kind of
that would
get a
be nice.
sense of. Yeah. So make sure to comment below if you know what week you're on, or if you've started, if you haven't started. We'd love to hear from you as well. So make sure to keep as you join, hopping on and saying hello, as well as where you are in your journey.
Right. Have you just started and you're joining us, or, how long, as you said, have you been on? You in phase two? We've got, oh, just ordered, no food yet. So we have some new people on, which is wonderful.
Great,
Keep
great.
letting us know.
Yeah, yeah, it's really exciting. And so happy to have you joining us before even
Yeah,
starting us.
I
Starting.
love this.
Love it.
Week one, day four. Oh, this is fabulous.
Week one, day four,
We
right
got,
in it.
got lots of our, Shane, we've got a lot of phase two people. So we've got a lot of experts here with a lot of advice coming on, and a lot of success to focus on, as well as new people been on a few weeks. So a lot.
Great,
This
great.
is
So
fabulous.
much to add. And even if you've been on it 4 days, we want you to share from your experience. And if you're in phase two, of course, we want to hear from your expertise. And so, Nancy, do you want to go ahead and get into the accountability spotlight?
I certainly do. So those of you who've been on before are very familiar with this. We every week during our episode, we offer the ability to add to your accountability by posting something that you want to take on, and then we follow up with it the following week. And, I'll say this every week that I'm here. It's okay if you don't pull off your goal,
Mm-hmm.
because there's something that you learn from that. Many of you have had that happen before and have tried it again and have pulled it off another week. So, or you did do it and you learned something from it, and we love to hear about that as well. So, we had, of course, Jen, our conversation last week was really about foods and the environment that can tempt you. Both
Right.
kind of having fun was the reality of how hard it is out there, and some examples. But then we also got into what are some strategies you can use in both phase one and phase two to make
Mhm.
it easier. And so Rick and Kate were, I tell you, I'm sure they probably got some money, but they were highlighting veggie burgers
Yeah.
and cauliflower rice and
Hmm.
frozen cherries. And I think Rick was asking for, as I said, stock and Morningstar with his veggie burger. But we had a number of people saying that they wanted to take that on. So I'd love to hear about that. Had a couple
Hmm.
of people going for new recipes. Jennifer, I'm curious if you ended up getting out the air fryer. That was something you wanted to do. We had someone wanting to increase physical activity. One thing that was interesting as a result of the calorie conversations, we had a couple of people that want to be more aware of their calories. So reading labels, which is a fabulous thing to do, and just being more aware of those BLTs, the bites, licks, and tastes, because those can add up. We had a
Hmm.
couple of people working on water. So we had a lot of strategies that were that people were taking accountability for. And we had some of our coaches taking on some goals as well. Kate wanted to sample some double shakes because she hadn't been doing that. She uses a lot of HMR foods, but hadn't necessarily done doubles. And she challenged Rick to a 10 vegetable day. So that was a big one. And
Yeah.
then Sandy wanted to take off, Coach Sandy wanted to take on an 8 veggie fruit day on Friday. So I'm laying that out. If anyone wants to post, let me see. Oh,
Yeah, and Nancy, as you're seeing if anybody's commenting if they were able to take anything on or not, variety is so huge, especially in the culture that we're in, that we're surrounded by so many different foods. And then when you start realizing how many calories are in those foods. And even I know there was some talk on the Starbucks and how some of just the drinks and the
beverage,
empty calories
yeah.
that come from the beverages can make a really huge impact. And it's nice to have that variety. And Jennifer, I am curious if you were able to do the air fryer. That one has been, I think, a saving grace for so many folks, myself included. And I know many of my clients really utilize or have been utilizing the air fryer. So if I think you're on, I think
Oh,
Nancy
she is
mentioned that
on.
you're
She's definitely on.
yeah. So make sure you're letting us know if you were able to do that or not, and all of you. And so anybody saying they were able to
Oh,
do
yes,
it,
yes, I've got some. And some of you said, like Sharon, you said you did the Morningstar veggie burger and cauliflower rice. Tell us what you thought. Is it something you would do again? Did you enjoy it? Sometimes you'll try something new and it'll be, that's not my thing. But
right.
if you try 10 things and you like 3 or 4 of them, you've got a few more things for your routine. So let us know if not only you tried it, but if you liked it.
Mhm.
Oh, and I love the fact that we're getting so many people telling us how long they've been on as well. So let's see. Um, okay, so Susan, my goal was fun. It was to try a veggie burger in place of an entree. Did it. So again, tell us, was it good? Sharon, veggie burger was very good. I made Cajun cauliflower rice with onions, bell peppers, celery, garlic with grass-fed ground beef and Cajun seasonings. Sounds fabulous. And
Yum.
she's going to do the cauliflower rice again today. Nancy, I did the veggie burgers. They were terrific. Still hasn't tried the frozen cherries, but that'll be great. I got out the air fryer and
Great.
set it up. So she's
Set it up.
all right. So that's the first step. She got it out of the box. She set it up. Perfect, Jennifer. And she's going to use it for the first time after this. So tonight it sounds like on some sweet
Perfect.
potatoes. So we'll be looking forward. Maybe you can report on that next week.
Yeah, or even while we're going, if you get those done during
Oh, there
the
you go.
live, keep us
If you want to
posted.
double task, Jennifer, that's another thing you can do.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Kate did the veggie burger with rice cauliflower, and she did some double shakes,
Nice.
which she thinks was a suggestion from Sherry. She also tried a 10 veggie day. Kate is very ambitious here. I did 3 frozen bags, one of which included beans. So she did it all. Kate, again, anything valuable that you got there. So Susan, yes, very good. I did it again a day or two later. So the veggie burgers are definitely popular. The cauliflower rice was popular.
That's
Sandy, I
great.
made it to 7 servings on Friday and again on Monday. Didn't make it to my goal of 8, but pushed hard and achieved more than if I hadn't made the goal of 8 servings. That's such a great statement, isn't it, Jen? Um,
It is. It is. And that's, I mean, just the beauty of having a goal and pushing yourself. You probably, like you mentioned, did more and you can continue to go for that. Was it 8 or 9 or however many it was? She can continue to push for that.
Well, it's interesting because, Sandy said, well, she got 7, and then she tried it again and got another 7. So again, she ultimately ended up with more veggies for the week, which is the perfect result of
Yep.
having what we would call more of a blast plan. Renee
Hmm.
did the veggie burger and frozen cherries.
Right.
So we had a lot of people take on accountability once again, and I'm seeing some things that people really liked and will repeat again.
Good. Yeah, that was my question. I know you're saying that several were able to do it, but I was curious, how did it go? Did they like it? Did they not like it? Is
Mhm.
it something they want to do again? And that's, I actually had cauliflower rice. We had it last night for dinner, and not sure if everybody's seen this or not, but I have loved the blend that is sweet potatoes
Mm.
and cauliflower. And I know my boys really like that too. And it's so great. You can make it, season it just like you would your rice. And I've even made like a fried rice with it, but not with the eggs but just kind of the common seasonings that are in the fried rice. And it's absolutely delicious. And in the box too, when you use the low calorie condiments and things. Yeah.
And I love the texture of it. It's got some nice bite to it. So
Yeah.
and it's a good quantity. So a lot of positives, and people are really happy they did it. We're getting a lot of good comments. So
Nice, nice. And also with the frozen cherries, I can't remember. I know some with the summer, frozen fruit is a really good treat just to eat. Um, and so was it something they were adding into shakes or,
yeah,
yeah?
it was, Rick was saying it was his favorite smoothie right now,
Oh, yeah.
with the frozen cherries. So he was selling that, and we had a lot of positives there.
Good, good. So,
All
so
right.
many good
Lot-
things.
We've had more people joining. So John Niehaus is here. We love it, John. So glad you made it.
Hey,
And,
John.
and we've got, I won't say them all, but so many people have also posted how long they've been in the program
Oh,
and what
fantastic.
weight they're keeping off. So for those of
Awesome.
you who are new and are just started, I think you'll see we've got a lot of experience here to help you with some hints and some strategies and some thoughts
Mhm.
as you start this journey.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Nancy, but through all the accountability spotlights, I've gotten or reminded of things that I've done that haven't done in a while
Yes.
that I've started doing. I know I love doing the frozen cherries and the shakes. That's one of my favorite things to do. And if you haven't tried the spumoni shake, that it is with
Mm.
the frozen cherries, the chocolate shake, and a tablespoon of sugar-free pistachio pudding. That is so good. And it's really good as an ice cream or even as a shake. So I'm going to put that plug in for you guys if that sounds
Yes.
interesting for you to keep that going this next week.
That's perfect. We
All
always
right.
get comments from new people as they try, the chocolate with the frozen cherries, not necessarily with the pistachio. That's a nice addition in there. They
Yeah.
can't believe it's in the box. It's just like it's so rich.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really popular one.
It is. And so many things when you start adding those add-ins in for the variety, you really feel like you're not on a diet or trying to stay, in a box because it's so good and you can really enjoy it. So that's, one thing that really helps with the longevity. So I love these accountability spotlights that we're doing. And as
Me
you
too.
guys, yeah, as you all are coming on, make sure to continue to let us know if you did have something that you took on last week because you were on the live with Rick and Coach Kate last week, or if there was something maybe that you heard someone else was going to do and you decided to take it on. I know Coach Kate mentioned that she was going to take on Rick's plan too and her own, and she was able
And
to.
she did. She did them all, so they were all helpful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's go ahead and are we ready to transition or anybody else joining us?
Oh, we've got people joining, commenting, but I did. Shane, Shane, who's our grill master, said I grilled watermelon. I need maybe a little more practice on that one.
Oh wow, yeah, I was
So
gonna.
that's cute. And then I just have to say, Lori, she said she sauteed zucchini and fresh tomatoes with basil and oregano. Doesn't that sound like summer?
It
Oh,
does.
I'm already wanting it. So, thanks for sharing that, Lori. So, let me just say one thing before we move on. There's
Mhm.
so many ideas and so many endorsements happening right now. So, as always, at the end, we're going to ask you if you heard something on this call that you want to sample,
Yeah.
and you know, you can make note of it, and if you want the accountability, you can post it as well. So start, you know, take a couple of notes if you're
Yeah.
hearing something, because you know, may hear something that kind of appeals to you right now, but you might forget about it toward the end of the episode. So make some notes of things that you hear that
Mhm.
appeal to you.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that so? That's such a good point because I know in my groups, sometimes I hear something and I maybe don't write it down and I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. I'm going to do that. And you think, I'm never going to forget it. And then you get back on your group and you're like, oh my gosh, I was going to try that and I didn't. So such a good point
Yeah.
to make sure to write it down because we're only human and we forget. And I was curious to hear how that grilled watermelon went because that is one I've not done. So keep us on
Yeah.
that. And also, if you've grilled any other kinds of fruits, I know that can be a new behavior for many folks. And to start grilling vegetables, for sure, I think that's a common one. But fruits, not always so common. And one of my very favorites is pineapple to grill.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
We could stay on this all night, Nancy,
I
but
know we could. We really better move on, or we're getting people still on. We're getting some new folks. Amy joined us. She starts tomorrow. So welcome to all our new folks as well. Hopefully you're already getting the sense that we've got a lot of people here with a lot of experience. So I think you're in the right place. So glad you're with us. And
yeah,
yes,
so exciting. I
and
heard you
grilled
say
peaches. We have to force, yeah,
peaches.
grilled
Yep.
peaches.
Thank you guys. Keep on coming as you're coming on. Welcome and so excited that you're getting to start tomorrow. I think that was Amy, and we
Mhm.
have someone else that had ordered their kit and not yet started. So great that you guys are joining us today for this event because it's just perfect timing, really. So let's go ahead and switch gears and get into our topic for tonight. And just going to take you guys back a little bit. So a few weeks ago, we did talk about the goal in phase one is to be in the box. And being in the box is staying completely on the diet 100% of the time. And when you are in the box in phase one, this is your best opportunity and really your only guarantee to maximize your weight loss. So lose as much weight as you possibly can in phase one. And we did just a couple of weeks ago do a full episode on in the box and what that kind of looks like and what that means. So if you didn't have an opportunity to watch that, you can actually, on the left side of our Facebook page, our closed community Facebook page, you can go to, I think it's videos, and you can go to videos and see all the videos that we've done. And so, or maybe you even need a refresher. Maybe, we've slept since then. So maybe you need to go back to that in the box episode again and check it out. So tonight we are going to continue on with looking at the importance of being in the box, but from a different angle. We are going to take a look at some of the problems that do come up when you consistently eat off the diet. So out of the box. So when you're consistently doing that, or what we like to call part-time dieting. So we're going to kind of help you guys wrap your head around this and get organized with this topic by asking several questions. So as we ask these questions, make sure you're commenting because we are going to reference those comments and your answers to these questions as we go. So you're definitely a huge part of this conversation by adding things in to the comments. And so our first question is, what is the problem with part-time dieting? And so remember that's, consistently eating off the diet. Like you're kind of on it, you're off of it, you're on it. So the question is, what is the problem with part-time dieting? And so Nancy, I know we've talked about the slippery slope, but tell me more about that. What do you think about one of the issues with it?
Yeah, I think while people are, ready to respond, because I'm guessing everyone's had that experience of really being on a diet partially, or sometimes they're on the diet and there's sometimes they're not. But I think one of the quotes that I've always loved that sort of tells the story is Well, first it's one cookie, then it's two, and then before you know it, the diet's gone. And
Hmm.
that whole snowball effect, it gets, once you've made a decision to eat off the diet, it's easier to do it a second time, and then a second time, and then another time. And,
Hmm.
um, I think not only does it start compromising, your diet itself, the structure of your diet, but I think it's very stressful. I think you start getting into that feeling of I'm out of control, and I
Yeah.
don't think everybody knows what that feels like, and it feels
Yeah.
terrible. So,
Yeah.
um, that's one reason why we don't recommend part-time dieting here.
Right. Yeah. Because, like you mentioned, and I think so many, the slippery slope, not just 10 cookies, but the 10 cookies can turn into like, well, I've really just blown it for the whole entire
Right.
day. I'm just going to go off of it. And one moment could turn into the day, into two, into three. And so I do want to share. So, Nancy, with that slippery slope, I do want to go through an example of, you know, a client. So imagine you guys, we have a female client that's starting the HMR program around 200 pounds. And we're going to go through two scenarios and just really think about the slippery slope that Nancy was just going through. And so think of, on the left, we have the client who's doing more is better, which we're going to get to here in just a little bit, but that's basically just doing more of the shakes and the entrees and the meals to help her to stay on the diet beyond her minimum. And she's in the box every day. And so then on the right side, we have, just imagine, same person, different scenario. She is 200-pound person. She meets her minimums. So she's meeting her, let's just say she's on the Healthy Solutions diet. So she meets her 3 shakes, her 2 entrees, her 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. So she's meeting that for the day. But she's also nibbling. So, she checked off the minimums for the day, but she's also nibbling on some things. And when we say nibbling, and what this person did was actually just half of a muffin, which she could have ate the whole muffin, right? Like just half of a muffin, a handful of some chips, and some cheese and crackers. So we have the two scenarios. So Nancy, we have the first person. She's, meeting her minimums. She practiced more to stay on the diet. And then we have the other side, the other scenario that she could have been doing is still meeting her minimums of 3 shakes, 2 entrees, and 5 servings, but nibbling. Nothing big, but a little nibbling throughout the day. Now, what I want you guys to be thinking about is we're going to take a look at her next 10 pounds that she wants to lose. And maybe put yourself in this person's shoes. What about your next 10 pounds that you want to be losing? And so the scenario one that we talked about, the gal that was meeting her minimums, she actually practiced an extra shake, some extra fruits and vegetables, and she also did 2,000 calories in PA for the week. For the week, she lost on average 1.8 pounds per week. Now, that's fantastic, right? 1.8 pounds. And so for her to lose her next 10 pounds, it would take 5.5 weeks. So 5.5 weeks, staying kind of where she is, um, losing about a pound and a half, or a pound point eight, 1.8 pounds per week. Now let's go to the flip side. She still met her minimums, but she nibbled. She averaged about 0.9 pounds lost per week, which I know there is some argument there, right, Nancy, that that's a loss. 0.9 pounds, that's still going in the direction. But this is where I want you to ask yourselves, does it matter how quickly you lose the weight? So 0.9 pounds for her next 10 pounds. Are y'all ready for this? It would take her 11 weeks. So compare that. Being in the box, not nibbling, eating extra, 5.5 weeks to lose your next 10 pounds. Compared that to having a little bite here and there, 11 weeks. So does that matter? So what do you have to say about that, Miss Nancy?
Well, the thing I want to add to that is the first person's got momentum, so they're more likely to keep doing what they're
Yeah.
doing and continue to lose weight. For the person who is nibbling, you know, I wouldn't be sure that this person's going to continue to lose 9/10, that's going to continue to
Right.
stay to the nibbling. So you can't even assume that that person really is going to be able to stay at that rate and be down that weight in 11
Yeah.
weeks. So I think it's just a great example of how much time gets added. And I'm sure all of you are, you know, the goal is to get off the diet as quickly as you can and lose the weight. So it's just another example of the value of staying in the box. And you know, I will say that, you know, if you do go out of the box, that's okay. The whole goal is to get right back in
Yeah.
and continue to stay in the box. But we're all human. I understand that. But
Yeah.
um, it's important to really approach the diet from the idea that you want to commit to it 100%, stay in the box.
'Cause,
Let's see what
one
our,
more
go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. As you're looking at the comments, so with the slippery slope concept, like you were mentioning, it started out as just a couple nibbles, but it always tends to go more after the couple nibbles, especially since she lost weight. Like, why not push it further? And then before you know
Right.
it, like that slippery slope, it's gone. So what are others saying about part-time dieting?
Well, Susan, who's lost a lot of weight, she says, to anyone new, as a phase one graduate, I can say that she's right. That's us. Stay in the box and you will lose weight and not be hungry. Um, Part-time equals not living with new behaviors. That's very profound.
It
That's
is.
exactly what we're trying to do is to develop some new behaviors that are going to support you for weight loss, but they're also going to support you long term.
Yeah.
Um, Part-time dieting will destroy the fantastic results.
Hmm.
That was Lori. Bev, too easy to go back to old habits. And
It is.
that's so true. You know, you think about the habits that you've had for years and years and years and years and years, and you're working on new habits that are from a much shorter length of time. So, you know, like anything, old habits, it's easy to fall back into them, especially when we've got an environment
Right.
that doesn't support new habits. Shane, somebody that's keeping off well over 100 pounds, commit, 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 own it, make it
Yeah.
yours,
Yeah.
make that decision.
Hmm. And when you think about it too, Nancy, most of our folks who come to HMR, ourselves included, this is not our first rodeo with trying to lose weight. And if you've kind of negotiated similar to that scenario that I just went through, like you were doing a lot of different changes, but then you had some nibbling going on and you weren't successful before, it's going to really be hard to be, to keep that up and to, get where you want to be. But like you mentioned, on the flip side, if you do have a moment that you break the diet, it's not over. It's just, and we've talked about how you can get back on it. But it's really important to continue to go into it as, okay, I'm not going to negotiate. I'm going to stick to it and I'm going to stay in the box so that I can lose as much weight as I can. Anyone else?
Yeah, we have some powerful statements here. I do want to address Penny for a minute because she says, I'm in week 6 and
Mm-hmm.
I've only been able to complete the box 5 times. I don't think she means that. I think she means meet the minimums.
Oh, okay.
She said, I find I cannot eat it all. I
Yeah.
haven't cheated or had anything, which means she hasn't been out of the box. I'm down 20 pounds, but I cannot always eat so much. That actually is a fairly common
Mm-hmm.
challenge, Penny, because, you
Yeah.
know, it's a fair amount of food. And if it's something you're not used to, there are strategies. Again, if you look at one of our former Facebooks, we have some ideas, but just really quickly, if anybody in the feed wants to jump in with
Yeah.
these, I'm sure some of you had trouble at the beginning, but you know, what comes to mind is start early, Penny, double things up. You can make some of your shakes lower volume using the 70 plus pudding. So there
Mhm.
are ways to do it. And again, people can jump in with other
Yeah.
strategies, but it isn't, you know, it is common. And then, you know, it's easier to say no altogether than to stop once you've started. I definitely relate to that. Once I get started, I can't stop. Gaining
Right.
weight back and such hard work.
Hmm.
Donna, when you eat out of the box, it increases my craving and it's hard to get back in. So staying in the box reduces my cravings.
Hmm.
And then Sherry, the whole like the worst thing for me is what it does to my head. I start feeling guilty and shame, and that paralyzes me.
Yeah.
It doesn't motivate me. So um, I think we've made our point.
I think so. So the main point really is really work to stay out of the mindset of part-time dieting and commit to being in the box 100%. And that first step is meeting your minimums. And if you are having a hard time, definitely come to this group. Ask that.
Yeah.
If you're struggling in any way, there's over 3,000 people that can definitely help you. Or if you're in a coaching session, make sure to bring that up if you're struggling. And that's again the way to maximize your weight loss is to be in the box and meet your minimums. And so so we've heard from some folks, and let's go ahead and switch gears. You think I think we
Yeah, I mean, there are more posts, but I'm hoping that everybody is reading them, and I appreciate all of the expertise. I do want to, Suzanne says something though that I think is helpful. We're going to get into this a little bit in a little bit, but it says occasional slip-ups are opportunities for learning.
Yes.
I like that. Do you need to have a piece of fruit on your desk, a shake ready in the fridge, some veggies sliced and ready to grab? Maybe it's the environment. So I love that, Suzanne. And actually that we're going to get to that later is the whole and making your environment supportive. So great advice there. Yeah, let's move on, Jen.
Yeah, it is all a lesson, but yeah, we could talk all night. I mean, we could just keep going on all of these things, following up. But our next concept that we really wanted to get into was the concept of more is better. Now, more is better. What we mean by that is more of the HMR shakes, entree. So any of the HMR products, fruits and vegetables, if you have those on your diet. So anything that is within the proximity of your box, eating more. Now, I understand we have quite a few new folks joining us. And so this concept can seem completely counterintuitive. But again, just like the box, the being in the box, we have another episode on more is better. So if you want to dig into that a little bit deeper, go to that videos tab, make sure to revisit that. Or if you need a refresher, it's a really good one because it is so much against, what we do in our culture when we think of dieting. It's less. So again, it is giving yourself permission to have that extra shake, an extra entree, or fruits and vegetables. So, and in doing so and adding in the extra, you can really save yourself a lot of additional calories that could potentially be coming in that could slow down your weight loss. Kind of similar to that scenario we just went through with the nibbling with that client and her experience with the nibbling. So now our next question, and before we do get into that question, make sure to let us know that you're joining us. Again, how many weeks you've been doing it, if you haven't started yet, because our topic tonight is how to maximize your weight loss here in phase 1. And so I hope you guys are ready. Y'all have been responding great to our questions. So here it is, our next one. And with that kind of concept of eating more, why allow yourself to eat extra when you need it? So extra with what's on the diet. Why allow yourself to do that? And you can answer this in a couple ways. What if you do eat extra? And what if you don't? If you don't eat extra or go for some things, kind of talking about your experience. And this is more so, I think, geared to folks who had that experience. So if you've been in phase 1 for a couple of weeks or in phase 2, thinking about your own experience with doing more, why is it valuable to allow yourself to eat more when you need it, or to be more in touch with the other side is, what problem could come up if you do not allow yourself to eat more when you need it? So I know, Nancy, you had that example of when back in the day, when it was just the 5 shakes. So I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about that experience about when you were so limited on what you were able to do.
Yeah, because I think just when you think about the concept of more is better, and like, I mean, eating extra calories is going to speed up my weight loss. And yes, because you're avoiding other foods, just think about the dark side for a minute. Think about if you have a certain amount of food that you can eat and you can't eat any more,
Hmm.
you just end up, how hard is it to be white knuckling, to be,
Yeah.
you're hungry, you want to eat, and yet technically you can't eat anything because you've had all that you can on the diet,
Mhm.
and all you feel is deprivation, um, sadness. You're trying
Yeah.
to go to bed and you're hungry. So it's just a horrible, horrible
Mhm.
life when you're doing that. So
And I mean, you have this experience because you guys, she's not just speaking from a coaching experience. You did the all shake diet
yeah,
back in the 80s, right? So talk
right.
about that experience because we didn't have this concept back then.
No. So when I started back in the 80s, I went on the diet for a few days because I wanted to experience it. Now, at the time, we had chocolate, vanilla, and chicken soup. Those were our entire HMR products. And so the diet was 5 shakes.
Hmm.
And we didn't really talk about the concept of more is better at the time. So here I am, and I'm a volume eater, what you call. I need a lot of food. I just eat a lot of food. So I'm making the food processor, the mousses most of the time just to get as full as I can on the 5 shakes. But I can still remember to this day how hard it was for me. I mean, I never went out of the box, but it was not a pleasant time. I was hungry a lot. I was nasty to my husband. I didn't like that he was eating and I wasn't. I was not going to be around. I
Yeah.
don't like to go to bed hungry. I was starting to feel exhausted. So anyway, it was a very hard experience compared
Yeah.
to what we have now. I have since done the both diets now with the concept of more is better, and just so I can tell you from just personal experience,
Hmm.
definitely more is better is the way to go.
Right. Absolutely. We don't want you guys to be not happy campers. We're not want you. I mean, it's so much more pleasant to be satisfied. And I think even if you didn't do the HMR program back in the 80s or have been with us for such a long time, you probably had that experience of being just hangry when you're on a diet. We don't want that experience on this program. Now, Nancy, I know you were actually my coach in phase one when I went into the Healthy Solutions program. And while I'm kind of talking about my story, make sure to be commenting below.
Yeah, we're
Remember
getting
that
people.
question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the why allow yourself to eat extra if you need it. So on the flip side of Nancy, I had the experience of kind of embracing the more is better. And I have to tell you guys, when I first started, I was so excited to go and ready and motivated. But then I didn't really think about my weekend that I had. And so my first weekend on the Healthy Solutions diet, I had, I think it was like two birthday parties, a graduation party. So as you all can imagine, I was going to be thrown into a lot of extra foods that were going to be tempting to go off the diet. And embracing the more is better, I think I ended up that day because I just kept going, okay, there's cake. I'm going to have a fruit. I'm going to take an extra shake. I think I ended up having 5 shakes on this day, 3 or 4 entrees. It's been quite some time ago, but I do remember the fruits and vegetables, and I had 10 servings, 10 of them, you guys, in that day. And I was able to stay in the box. And even with being a coach, hearing everything Nancy was telling me that, this is what we need to do, I was like, there's no way I'm going to lose weight doing this much food. You guys, I lost 4 pounds in that first week with all that extra food. And even knowing and working with so many clients, I think you also have to experience it for yourself to go for it. And it works. Doing the more is better. So, what are people saying about, allowing themselves to eat more when they need it?
I love that story, Jen. I do want to say one thing. We wouldn't recommend starting out the diet
Don't start that way.
with that kind of a day. That's really challenging, but I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
No, no, yeah,
Although it's true. I mean, I might delay the diet a
I
couple
should
of
have
days, but
started the
I have
next
to do
Monday.
that. So Jennifer says more is better is what saved me after my month out of the box. So she went out of the box for a little bit and then she started doing more is better. Even Kate's saying I'm in phase 2. And when I don't eat more foods that are on the diet, I repeatedly nibble on foods off the diet, and I don't even feel like I eat very much. My HMR numbers are lower and my weight is higher. So when she uses HMR foods, even in phase 2, she feels so much better and gets better results. She also uses a lot of fruits and vegetables. Nancy, having extra HMR meals or shakes helped me stay full and kept me away from other foods during phase 1. Susan is a ditto on that. Donna, when I am emotionally stressed, that full feeling from doing more is better, like an extra double shake, helps me feel satisfied instead of deprived. And, let's face it, if you're deprived, again, are you going to stay in that state? No, we, human beings, you're not going to. You're going to end up eating something. Suzanne, when I eat more in the box, as soon as I am hungry, I will happily make and enjoy that low-calorie, nutritious, and very filling food. If I don't, and wait until I'm hungrier, I'm apt to grab anything for the taste regardless. And to get as full out of the box means I will take in too many calories that don't support my health or my goals. So that's a really good point. It's like, in fact, we recommend stay ahead of the hunger.
Yeah.
Like, don't even wait till you get hungry. Just go ahead so you don't have to deal with that. And then Sherry, part of the problem with being hungry is that we're hardwired for survival. So when you're starving, your body pushes you to take in as many calories as quickly as possible. And Sherry, that was a point that we hit on several times in that More is Better video, and I want to repeat it here. You're absolutely right. We just have to remember, it's okay to eat. We evolved to eat. That's how we survived. It's normal and it's natural. You don't have to feel guilty about eating. So again, what we're really working on is eating as much as you need when you're in phase 1 of in the box foods to really help you to not break the diet.
And Nancy, you did hit on it. I know many folks have been commenting about when they're hungry. But we're also talking about doing more and giving yourself permission when you're tempted. Maybe you're not hungry, because not all of us eat because we're hungry. It's because we see the pizza or we see, the bag of chips. So if you're tempted, like if the thought crosses your mind that you're going to break the diet, go make a shake. Go have another fruit or vegetable. Go do something that you can say yes to.
Or Jen, I'll even add, if you like to eat when you're watching television,
right.
You know what I mean? Have something with you. Don't just fight it and say I shouldn't eat when I'm eat when you're watching television. Just pick something that's on the diet or in phase 2 that's supportive of you. It's okay. You don't have to change that habit if you can control the calories. All right.
And hopefully that's comforting, right? So
hopefully good news.
We're giving you permission. Eat. All right. So are we ready for the next? And I'm sure we're having more comments about that and allowing yourself. And I hope you guys are continuing to, as you hop on, to say hello. Also, let us know how long you've been doing this, if you've started, if you've just started. And then we are talking about how to maximize your weight loss in phase 1 if you're just joining us. So I would encourage you, if you are just joining us, you're going to want to go back and watch the full version or the full video, because there's been a lot of great things that have been brought up, and make sure you read the comments. All right. So our next question, or do you want to get into some more of the comments, or do you want to get into?
No, I think it's time to move on.
Okay. Yep. All right. So this is more so for folks who had that, maybe you're in phase 2, or you've been doing the phase 1 program for, a week, 2 weeks, 6 months, whatever it may be. This is a question for each of you to really help our new folks who are just starting or have not started yet. What is one thing that you did while losing weight to make your environment more supportive? And so let me first clarify, what I mean by environment. So we call this environmental control. And this is either adding things into your environment, your home, work, any of the environments that you may find yourself in, adding things in to make them more supportive, more fruits, more products, more add-ins, or taking things away. So that's what we mean by environmental control, and we do kind of abbreviate it as EC. So anything that you would say about environmental control, Nancy?
Yeah, I think this is something that can be underutilized, but this probably is one of the most important things
Yeah.
because, again, we are surrounded by unsupportive things. So we have to really work to make our environments as supportive as we possibly can. So, think about it. If you're on this diet, you just want to be surrounded with yes foods, things that you can say yes to all the time. You never want to feel that deprivation, like there's always something you can grab.
Yes.
And as we've already said, if you can eliminate the foods that tempt you, it's just so much less stressful. You're not trying to, it doesn't give you the feeling of deprivation because they're not there to remind you that you can't eat them. It's just like so much more of a stress-free way to lose weight. So it's important to have as many strategies as you can to have a supportive environment. So again, for those of you, someone had already mentioned something. So please, what are your key things that you did to support the diet?
Yeah, to make them even more. And this is also a hard one because it doesn't just include the person that's doing the diet. Like
Right.
it is going to affect if you live with, have other people in the house. So it is a hard one. And I do hear all the time, well, I don't want to burden so and so because they're not on a diet. So there are absolutely things that you can do to make it easier. And it can, just take a couple moments if you don't make these changes to really undo all kinds of good work that you've done within the day and have your whole day kind of be off track. But quite the opposite too. It can only take a couple, minutes to make some of these changes to help support you to stay on track. So what are your favorite environmental changes that you've made?
Well, I have to say, we're getting some posts. So let me
Yeah.
just share what our experts are saying here. So Jennifer, I have my HMR corner on the counter next to the microwave, my entrees, shakes, blenders, add-ins, etc. So she's got her own corner.
Nice.
Patty, always bring HMR shake and veggies in the car, even if I think I'll be home in time to eat. I love that. I never leave the house without more than enough HMR fruits and vegetables because you never know when you're going to get stuck out being longer than you think. Bob, who I think must live alone, only HMR foods and fruits and vegetables in the house. So, if you happen to be alone or you're working with somebody you're dieting with, that's a nice thing to do. Can't always do that. Sherry divided the cupboards and fridge and counter real estate so I don't have to see much of the foods that aren't in my box. That's a really popular strategy. Your own cupboard, an own part of your fridge, part of the freezer. And that can really, so you're not bypassing the chips as you're trying to go get your next entree. That can be.
How many times can you do that? Pass up the chips. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, she says, avoided eating in restaurants or other people's houses most of the time. So just again, trying to reducing the challenges. Nancy also cleared out a cupboard in her kitchen. My blender and water bottle was stationed right in front of it.
Right.
Right. My kids were lucky enough to get rid of all the chips and sweets in the house. They're a little more bummed about all the fruit in the fridge, but they still eat it. I mean, and that sometimes can be a side effect, right? You suddenly have your family eating more healthfully at the same time you're getting healthy, which is nice.
Always a plus.
Shane, I love the saying, shop and chop. Have vegetables readily available, ready to eat, go home and, not even sometimes you can buy a cantaloupe, but if it's sitting whole on the counter, it's not doing much good, right? So cut it up. Let's see. Online grocery shopping, so I don't have to see displays of pastries.
Oh my gosh,
I love
such
that.
a hard. Yeah, that's a good one.
Something I brought into my environment that really helped long term was an easy to use soft-sided cooler for take on the go. I love that. I think, having something in the car all the time, just always having something with you wherever you go, is fabulous.
Yeah.
I also put my husband's snack foods in a high cupboard that I can't reach without a step stool.
Perfect.
Out of sight and out of my mind. I love that. And
Mhm.
So a lot of times, even if you have to go through the process of getting on a step stool, climbing on and getting up there, by that time you realize you probably shouldn't be doing it, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Um,
So many great ones.
yeah, so these are really fabulous. A lot of home strategies. If anybody has any strategies that they use, I don't know if anybody's going to work, or do you have any other houses that you visit or traveling at all? So anything. But these are just perfect
Mhm.
strategies to get started, right, Jen?
Absolutely. And, definitely keep it going in the comments because there's so many, especially as more of us are getting back to work and going to be in other environments, make sure to keep those comments of things that you've done because you all can keep coming back to this. If you need, like, oh, what did so and so say about, blah, 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 you can come back and look at the comments in the video to get and remind yourself of all the ideas. So, as we're wrapping up, we are going to be wrapping up here in just a few minutes. I do want to, you guys have been fantastic with sharing your advice today on these different questions that we've been asking about not part-time dieting, allowing yourself to eat extra when you need it of the things that are in the box, as well as what changes can you do to make the environment more supportive for you while you're in phase one? And also, let's say all the time, like you may make those changes all the time. But if there was something at the very beginning that either you heard or you would have appreciated knowing, we want you to offer that advice up to those folks who are just getting started, maybe haven't started yet. And so, our last question as we wrap up is, what advice would you give? What have you learned from your experience doing the program? And someone mentioned it earlier, what lesson did you learn that maybe you want to help somebody not have to have that lesson that they have to learn? They can already be ready to go with that to help someone maximize their weight loss in phase one. So if you had that magic button to be able to advise someone something you appreciated, go ahead and share that as well because we're all in this together. And I can tell you, Nancy, my best advice as a coach, if I could have every single new client that joined my group, if I could push a magic button and have them do this, it would be to get out of their own way and to just really embrace the program and do it how it's designed. So just take it on, even if you may have some like, I don't really believe that more is better, or I don't necessarily think I need to be in the box every day. Get out of your way. And I say that with love, you guys, like with love, just embrace it because we're not here to have you guys not being successful. Absolutely, that's not our goal. Um, so make sure you're sharing your advice that you want to offer. And Nancy, do you want to go into um, the accountability spotlight if anybody's heard anything?
Yes. The other thing I will say is it's important to plan. So as you're getting started, we have materials to help you plan your first day. I mean, you're not going to be able to just wake up and automatically do this. So make sure you look at the materials so you know what you need to shop and prepare for.
Mhm.
Plan it out so that you really have a game plan for what you're going to do each day. And this diet community, as you can see, is so supportive. So if you do have any questions, ask. I mean, it's amazing to me. Somebody asks a question, and within 4 minutes, it feels like there's 60 responses. So, please, I'm glad you've joined the community. So with that,
Mhm.
um, I'm going to read some of these lessons, but I'd also like to get started on the accountability spotlight. So we had a lot of strategies and ideas
Mhm.
and concepts that we've talked about tonight. So if
Mhm.
you're brand new, you haven't started yet, or you're just starting, or you're, maybe you've only been on a week or two, what have you heard here that you feel is going to support you moving forward?
Mhm.
We'd love to hear about that. So post it.
Mhm.
For the rest of you, it's always good to go back to the basics, right? Whether you're in phase one, phase two, it's always good to be reminded. So if you heard anything that you made a note of, that's like, oh, geez, I need to do that this week. Maybe it'll help you if you've gotten off track, or just to keep your momentum going, or maybe even in phase two to, maybe have more of a weight loss week if that's something you're looking for. So again, do you want some additional accountability by posting a goal that you have this week? And as you know, we will follow up on it next week. So with that, I'm going to be looking for advice that people are giving to our newer folks, and also anyone that wants to post some accountability. And then
Yeah.
we'll summarize in a minute here, Jen. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. And one thing, as you're looking for comments and advice, the one topic we haven't really talked about is PA, and that's the physical activity for those of you who aren't necessarily used to our abbreviations. And so it's really important to help you lose more weight more quickly in phase one. It's motivating to help you to want to stay on the diet, to be meeting your minimums. So that's one thing that we haven't really talked about tonight, but is very, very important. So any advice folks or people are bringing up for others? Nancy?
Yes, including Patty said, make physical activity a habit, so I would say, so it's right up what you're saying. It's like, and don't wait to start physical activity.
Yeah.
Start it at the beginning while you're already motivated to be doing the diet. That's the perfect time to also be starting the physical activity. Bob, I love this. More is better is really okay.
It is.
And Sherry, my most important lesson was learning how much support I need to do this job and to appreciate that there's no shame in needing that amount of help. Good for you, Sherry.
That's great.
Susan, lesson. If you are at all tempted to break the diet, have a big shake made with a lot of ice to make it thick. Even if you've already had 3 shakes or 4 or 5, just continue to have foods in the box. Absolutely. Donna, trying something new in the box every week and note how good you feel as a result. Great. So keep working on variety. Always have your HMR food with you when you leave the house, more than you think. Cereal packets, fruit, water bottles, even meal replacements, since they don't have, that's the entrees, since they don't have to be heated. So you don't have to get hungry if your plans change unexpectedly. You'll always have choices in the box choices with you.
That's great.
More is better is exciting to consider. So used to restrictive diets, it's okay to eat. So I'm guessing Smokey is new and got that message. And then
Right.
Lori, drink the water. Yes, that's another thing. It's always helpful to make sure you're getting in the fluids that you need. And Nancy, your coach and classmates are extremely important. So keep going to class if that's something you've done to decide to join classes, even if you have blown the diet or feel like you are going to. Your classmates know how you feel, and your coach will help you learn strategies. Boy, that's important, right? Just
That's a big one.
never give up, never feel bad. Every week is a chance to get new perspective. All right.
Those are great. Yeah, no judgment at all. It's all a process. It's not going to be something that's going to be, done tomorrow. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So yeah, great advice. So keep adding that in. And gosh, Nancy, I know we could hang out with you guys all night talking about ways and things that you can do to get a quick start to maximize your weight loss on the diet. And I hope you guys have gotten some things out of our live event tonight. And, make sure to let us know if this was helpful, as well as other things you all want to talk about that maybe you want us to do an event on. And next week, make sure to tune in because your Rick is going to be back. And also Coach Sandy is going to be joining Rick to do a live event next week. And so thank you guys for being here, and have a fabulous week. Bye, guys. Anything else?
Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye. All right.